What up? POVO.
I'm with the POVO team.
Ward 8, let's go.
Ward 8.
Highlands, Eastleigh, Chisipiti, Newlands. We're here.
Okay.
We're here.
We're at Capit Talk. I've been invited to come through and talk. I'm here with Chef Bay. What up, Chef Bay? We're to talk about new politics, new ideas.
And young people. It's our turn.
The speed is on. Can you get them? I know you take the to come in so the speed can go. And I would not go bad up at the boys. Yeah, you let him come and do himself. I work with them so that we can go live proper. But we already got viewers.
How many?
Four.
Okay, so I'm doing better here.
I don't know. We're not as deep as you.
Don't pass away.
We are calling for office.
Well, please share the video, ladies and gentlemen. We are at Capit Talk. I'm here with Farai Gwaze. What's your title here, my nigga? You are the
I'm a broadcast journalist.
broadcast journalist. What's your cool name? No,
we're broadcast journalists. We don't have DJs who come up with names and this.
We call him Fat Boy Zim from the old days. Fat Boy Zim in the building. It's about to go down. Yeah, we're not playing today. You guys understand.
Yeah, we're about to go live. Let's
do it.
People questioning us.
I should probably delete some of our first lives together.
Yeah, so please delete those, right? But they weren't too bad. They were honest.
No, you were very tea time. No, this is when Henry was still tea time. If you're quick, you can go on my Facebook and get some videos of me and Henry going in on millennials.
In the car.
In the car. With shades on. Please share the video, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to go live. We're in Capit Talk. 100.4 FM in Zimbabwe. Harare, Zimbabwe, Chisipiti. I've been given a POVO cap. Thank you very much, Mr. Henry.
And Capit Talk is in Ward 8. In our ward.
It's your ward?
It's our ward.
Okay,
yes.
So POVO is in a lot of wards, as you see. Don't bring AC with you. Leave him in United Kingdom of Epworth. Like, guys, just like randomly. We're talking about other things, guys.
AC is eating Easter eggs today.
He's eating Easter eggs. I don't get my cake in his chocolates.
Yes, Marcy, Ward 8. Highlands, Newlands, Chisipiti, the Grange, part of the Grange, part of Gun Hill, Valentine Park. That's Ward 8.
You need to share our feed when you're
Your feed is terrible. No one's watching your feed. We tried. It's got one person, man. Ours has got like 150 right now.
Can you find the feed and share it?
I'm telling you guys, not working your feed.
Can you find the feed?
I know.
Thank you so much. It's got 6 people now.
Yeah, but I'm on 300. Should I leave my feed and go to yours?
I can't wait. I'm waiting for this. Waiting.
Don't bother going to Capit Talk with feed. Okay, go to Capit Talk on Facebook if you want. If you want the good. That's it, the voice.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to you. Just joined us here on the Capit Talk Drive on Capit Talk 100.4 FM. It's Marvel's first and only commercial talk radio station and leading the conversation. It is a Friday. Not only is it a Friday, it's a good Friday, meaning that it's also a public holiday. And normally on a Friday, we don't have a hot topic for discussion. But after the start of Capital Breakfast Show this morning with Tanu Chanemana, speaking to Ivan Mawarire in light of his campaign as a councillor, but more importantly, also appreciating the organization People's Own Voice, POVO, and the work that they are doing in bringing independent candidates to civic service rather in Harare. But the open discussion has come around a new generational leadership and how the notion of independence seems to be on everyone's tongue at the moment. A lot of people say, what's the point of trying to be independent if in actual fact you standing on your own is a reflection of your inability to actually appreciate that government structures needs to have institutions that one is tied into. Another argument that comes in is by virtue of being independent. It's like saying you want to be able to run a company without having gone to school. Institutions such as political parties allow one to be cultivated and nurtured rather into positions of leadership. Joining me in studio today is Munangatire, who is also a member of POVO, but more importantly, a candidate for Councillor Ward 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly, Ward 8.
Yes, Ward 8, if I'm not mistaken, in this year's coming elections. And also joined the studio by a social commentator and a social activist who you may be familiar with from the hashtag This Flag Movement. Also, the significant social media presence when it comes to issues of social commentary in Zimbabwe.
Farai Gwaze, The Voice, on Capital 100.4 FM, leading the conversation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to you. If you've just joined us here on the Capital Drive on Capit Talk 100.4 FM, Zimbabwe's first and only commercial talk radio station, leading the conversation. It is a Friday. Not only is it a Friday, it's a good Friday, meaning that it's also a public holiday. And normally on a Friday, we don't have a hot topic for discussion. But after the Startup Capital Breakfast Show this morning with Talent Chademana, speaking to Ivan Mawarire in the light of his campaign as a councillor, but more importantly, also appreciating the organization People's Own Voice, POVO, and the work that they are doing in bringing independent candidates to civic service rather, in Harare. But the open discussion has come around a new generational leadership and how the notion of the independent seems to be on everyone's tongue at the moment. A lot of people are saying, what's the point of trying to be independent if in actual fact you standing on your own is a reflection of your inability to actually appreciate that government structures need to have institutions that one is tied into. Another argument that comes in is by virtue of being independent, it's like saying you want to be able to run a company without having gone to school. Institutions such as political parties allow one to be cultivated and nurtured rather into positions of leadership. Joining me in studio today is Munangatire, who is also a member of POVO, but more importantly, a candidate for Councillor Ward 8, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Ward 8, if I'm not mistaken, in this year's coming elections. And also joined the studio by a social commentator and a social activist who you may be familiar with from the hashtag This Flag Movement. Also as a significant social media presence when it comes to issues of social commentary in Zimbabwe. Kuda, Musasiwa, thank you so much for joining us today on the Capital Drive, gentlemen.
Thank you, Farai.
Now,
before you start, there was a lot of ironic statements you made at the beginning there.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. As we open up our discussions here today, please feel free to interact with us on 0717 777 That's 0717 777 Let us know what your contributions are during the course of the show. We always appreciate hearing from you. It is a platform for you to interact with our panelists, but also pick up on the discussions that we've had during the course of the day. Now, I would like to put my first question towards Henry.
Yes.
A criticism that has come a lot with the organization is that you have independents who have come together. Now, a question that was also highlighted by Talent Chademana during the course of the Startup Capital Breakfast Show with Ivan Mawarire was when you say that you are independent, yet you present yourself as a collective, how then is that communicated to the electorate in terms of being a party or not?
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing we have to think about is the history of service delivery in Harare, for example.
Sure.
Harare has been led by political parties that have towed a political line and not put the people and the issues first. What we are saying is that we stand first about the people and the issues. Our candidates represent the people. They are accountable to the people, not to a political party leadership. They are not accountable to an ideology, and they're not accountable to an individual. So in the event that development is to happen in our wards, we're saying we communicate directly with the people and not a political stance.
Right.
We've seen this in Harare, for example, where the last 37 years, particularly the last 17, there's been a lack of service delivery. And nothing has happened to councillors that have failed to deliver, that have been incompetent, simply because parties have wanted to hold on to seats before prioritizing people.
In your opinion, with this approach, how receptive has the electorate been to this new approach that says we as individuals can ensure that your interests are met and forego the political parties, because so far this is what they've failed to do?
Well, the public's very receptive. I mean, you have to think about the issues here. People want water. They want refuse collection. They want roads fixed. Those are the most important things that they want. People are far less concerned about what the political party is going to do or say. I mean, we're sitting in a situation right now where people are saying, look, what we want now is our issues dealt with.
Right.
That's what they're concerned with. That's the number one concern, and this is where people are missing the conversations, that let's stop talking. The reason why you have such a low number of people actually voting in elections is because they're not incentivized. There's no reason why they should.
Okay. Quite a few contributions also coming in on our social media platforms, also on our Facebook page. Please feel free to keep sending in more of the comments there on 0717777777. That's our WhatsApp platform. Now, I'm also joined by a social activist and a commentator, Kuda Musasiwa. Also, I'd like to have your position rather in this shift that has taken place in Zimbabwe's political landscape when it comes to the notion of the independent candidate. It's not a new application in terms of Zimbabwe's political landscape, but it has seemed to garner a lot of attention recently. What are your thoughts in that area?
Look, just full disclosure, I'm very much part of the Munangatire campaign for Be the Change, which is running for the Mount Pleasant constituency for the MP position. The reason why a lot of people like me have decided to go behind and rally around the independent candidates is because the current structures in the official political parties that we call the two big ones, the BMW and the Mercedes of Zimbabwe, which is ZANU-PF and BMW, is that first of all, the price for us to achieve a ride in these vehicles is too expensive. I mean, they don't want young people like us to engage with them unless we jump certain hurdles of patronage and so forth. We have chosen to be Teslas instead. We've chosen to build new versions of vehicles that don't guzzle up fuel. We've chosen to be more nimble on our feet, more creative, more innovative. We are trying to offer total accountability to the constituencies that we're offering our services to as young people. And the allure for me when I went to the POVO launch yesterday was, for the first time ever, I will have a candidate in my ward, for example, who I will be able to send to council, and they will have to come back to me. They're not trying to pander to the political wills of their party. They will have to come back to us as constituents and participate with our issues. And this is why the independent candidates are gaining so much traction. Now, you know what? We are all seeing Themba Mliswa these days in the parliamentary hearings, and we see how effective he is, because without fear or favor, he can pretty much be a bulldog to anybody. Sure. So I think this is why this is gaining traction. And also, fortunately, we've had a rise of the social movements. We have big names like Munangatire and Munangatire and so forth.
You touch on a pertinent area there when it comes to the rise of social movements. The most significant step that we saw towards that would be Itai Dzamara.
Yes.
Right. Now, a lot of people would go with this flag. Yes, it was complimentary, but the first step that we actually saw was Itai Dzamara, who said, right, I'm actually going to take the initiative and have some social cohesion affect some change. Right. Now, we saw a transition.
Well, it wasn't him first. I mean, there's many who before him even. You see, so what we must look at is this. He's the first one who got abducted, and we don't know where he is, and we want him back dead or alive. Right. Ivan Mawarire could have easily been Itai Dzamara. Right. Fortunately, Ivan Mawarire came through at the time when the video feeds and the live feeds made sure that we all knew who he was. Unfortunately, I got to know Itai Dzamara after he was already gone, which is a tragedy as far as I'm concerned.
Was Itai Dzamara associated to a political movement?
It doesn't matter. And I'm sure he was. I mean, a lot of his pictures is in front of MDC placards.
I think this is where the point is that we were talking about social movements where you're not associated to a political party. And the most significant one that comes to mind at the moment is the Taizamara.
Yes.
Julie agreed that he may not be in the first, but the most significant one that comes to mind at the moment.
With the Occupy Unity Square guys.
Yeah, exactly right.
They're the fathers of the social hashtag movement.
Exactly right. Now, and then from there, what was a popular one was hashtag this flag.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, when that phase came in, what we did notice, though, was when Pastor Ivan Mawarire was eventually released, right, all of a sudden, the people of Zimbabwe, or should I say the people within Harare, who were representative of many of the Zimbabweans, then associated themselves to an individual.
Right.
And put the cause on an individual.
Right.
And this is where the real question comes from, is can an individual carry the weight of the burden of Zimbabwean people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, what people want is problem solved.
Okay.
Individuals can solve problems. The whole notion that only political parties can solve our problems is wrong. It hasn't gotten us there in 37 years.
Okay.
38 now. We're turning 30 in 18 days. It hasn't gotten us there. Today we're sitting at a city that can't give its citizens running water. We're sitting at cholera and typhoid every year, deaths every single year.
Right.
And this is because they have failed to do so.
Right.
Because they're tangled in patronage, they're tangled in people lobbying for positions.
Right.
Not the issues. You look at the city of Harare, like I'll go back to the city of Harare. Since 2013, they've gone and borrowed money from the Chinese, 144 million,
Right.
and nothing's been done.
Feel free to also interact with us on 0717 Get a hold of us here on the Capitol Drive. You can also call us in the studio on 495-0112. Here's a contribution that comes in from Abel. Abel says that council has not let anyone down. It's the Kasukueres and Chombos of the ruling party. It's a fact that everyone knows this. It's a contribution coming from Abel. Gentlemen, if you'll allow me to read the comments from the listeners.
But it's nonsense.
Yes, I know, but you have to respect someone's contribution. I mean, this is why we invite you to respect people's comments. And if you can't respect people's comments, then it's difficult to have a discussion and appreciate other people's opinions. Feel free to also send in your opinions on 0717 Take a small commercial break. When we come back, I'll be hearing a bit more on the new generational leadership as to whether it applies to you. Do you think it will be relevant? Do you think it will actually work? And we look forward to hearing a bit more about the independent candidates who also look forward to making their mark in the 2018 election. Stay tuned to the Capitol Drive.
I can't wait to go to the Easter egg hunt at Mukuwisi Woodlands on Easter Saturday. I'm going to find the golden egg. No, I'm going to get it.
No, it's mine.
Don't let your child be left out. Bring them to the 2018 Easter egg hunt, a family event with horse riding, slides, jumping castles, prize stands, and great music. You can bring your own cooler boxes for mums and dads. The day will begin at 12 noon until 5 p.m. with the egg hunt taking place at 3 p.m.
I am going to get the golden egg. It's mine. I am going to get it.
For more information and tickets, contact Capitalk FM on Harare 442-924 or Four Faces Holiday Clubs on Harare 300568.
The 2018 Easter egg hunt proudly brought to you by Four Faces Holidays and Capital 100.4 FM.
If you love Easter,
Capital FM loves you!
Farai Gwaze, The Voice on Capital 100.4 FM, leading the conversation.
It is the Capitol Drive here on Capi Talk 100.4 FM, Zimbabwe's first and only commercial talk radio station, leading the conversation. I'm joined in studio today by representatives of POVO, independent candidate Henry Munangatire, and also social commentator and activist Kuda Musasiwa. You two can also interact with us on 0717 I see quite a few of the contributions on our social media platforms. I definitely will be addressing those as we progress during the course of the show. We do have a caller on the line. Hello, you are live on the Capitol Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare.
Yes, but I am Brian and I'm calling from Waterford.
Brian, Waterford.
Yes, what I want to say is those independent candidates, they won't change anything. Because if we take a look for situation.
Please forward a WhatsApp on 0717 if you also want to send in more comments to the discussion. You can do so right here on the Capitol Drive. We will be rolling through our discussions up until 4 p.m. I'm looking forward to more of your comments. Please feel free to take advantage of our WhatsApp platform too. Hello, you are live on the Capitol Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare.
Yeah, it's Final from calling from Milton Park.
Final from where?
Milton Park.
Milton Park. Tipe contribution.
Zvakakosha ndechekuti sevanhu vari mupolitics tinofana kukasa maprinciples kwete maopinions. Because mapoliticians mazhinji varushandisa maopinions pachinzvimbo chemaprinciples. Ini seri munhu angofungawo zvake akarara kuti ndogona kumirirawo neugwenzi. Asina maprinciples ainawo ane chekuita nenyika yake kuti nyika yangu ino yakatarisa kupi kubva kupi kuenda kupi. Ende chii chabenefita vanhu tokupedzisira kwazvo kana ndichinge ndaita mutungamiri wavo. Strategy ndo chinhu chakakosha.
Your strategy, Aditika.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your call.
Yakakosha kana uchiva politician because you have to have a strategy, right? In the event, the economic situation yandinayo.
Ngatisaende kure. Pamataura kuti ma-principles nema-opinion akasiyana, I think ndo pamanyatsonangire ipapo. There's a very big difference between principles and opinions. And muri kuti a lot of people who are politicking right now vari kutudza ma-opinion avo.
Yes, yes.
But what will allow us to move forward? My principles.
My principles.
Thank 100%, but thank you so much for that contribution. All right then. I would like to get your response on that, but let's just take one more call. Hello, you are live on the Capit Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare. Yes, hello. Hello. All right, then we seem to have lost that caller. What's your take on the sentiment that there's a difference between opinions and principles, and what's being pushed a lot of is the opinions of an individual as opposed to the principles that would actually guide the decisions that would be made?
Well, absolutely. I think what you've seen in Zimbabwe, particularly at the council level, is a breakdown of value-based leadership in terms of people actually leading with the values we expect.
Sure.
And here we're talking about, again, I'll talk about some of the things that have happened recently. Last year, the current council, 43 out of 46, voted against slashing the budget by 60%. And I want to also answer the question about, it's not about, of course the Minister of Local Government will always be hostile to progressive things.
Right.
We know that. But there's power that the councils can do to bring positive change.
Okay.
But that's not happening because council is now all about self-enrichment. It's all about councils going there to get land, to get money, to build on wetlands, and all those sort of things.
Well,
and those are the principles
sure.
that we're veering away from.
Okay, right. Let's take another call. We do have a call on the line. It's hello, you're live on the Capit Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare.
My name is Chabu. I want to talk to Kuda about something.
Yes, Chabu. Please give us your contribution. Kuda is live.
You should send to the
Sorry, I'm Muslim on Zwiga. Can you please speak up?
Hello?
Yes, please speak up. Thank you.
You should learn to respect that. They are the ones who need our vote.
Yeah.
So if we shout and the shout diameter, doesn't make anything.
But I'm not asking for your vote. I'm not running for any council. I'm just like you. No opinion. So I can't respect the opinion. To respect
Let me talk, my friend. Let me talk. You should respect another person's opinion.
But you're not respecting my opinion, not to respect yours.
But you are shouting to people.
Who am I shouting at now?
You are saying to someone who sent you a message, and you are saying he's bullshit. That's bullshit.
No, I did not. I didn't say any of that. I don't know where you heard that from, my brother. You need to rewind the tape. I think if you got personal agendas, then say it. I mean, what I'm saying is that I'm like you. I'm a voter. I'm a resident of Harare. I've got the right to also interrogate my councillors.
My friend.
All right.
I'm trying to answer the question, but then he keeps saying,
here's what I will do. Here's what I will do. Thank you so much for that call. What I will ask is this: if you could please forward your contribution on our WhatsApp platform, then I would at least be able to help assist in your contribution during the course of the show, because we also want to allow other people to make their comments during the course of the show. And I think that the comment that you're raising was that the manner in which Kuda Musasiwa dealt with a contribution that came from a listener to you felt that it was offensive. And I clarified that earlier on, that I asked him, could you please allow people to express their opinions, and in turn they will allow you to respect yours. And I think that Mr. Musasiwa has done so. So moving on with the interview. Right. Let's look at a few more of the contributions that are coming on the WhatsApp platform. Here's a contribution that comes in. This one says, I think Mr. Mawarire should contest as an MP so that him and Themba Mliswa can go ahead on with those arrogant ministers like so and so. An element that has come in with the organization is that you have had independent people coming together to work together. Now, Zimbabweans, dare I say, have not seen this sort of an approach before. And the term new generational leadership has been thrown around loosely, that it is a new approach by a specific generation in how to apply themselves to the political landscape. Let's clarify how these independent thinkers are coming together to collectively put forward individual responsibilities.
Yes. I think the first thing is it's important to note that there is just as much work that needs to be done in our city councils and our local authorities as there is in the parliament and, of course, in the executive branch, which is the president and so forth, and the cabinet. So when we are saying we're going to council, it does not mean that Pastor Ivan does not think that he can run as an MP in any constituency. Of course he could. But it's about him recognizing that this is where I am needed the most. This is where I can serve the best. And this is why we are deliberately going to city council, because we want to serve at the local level. We've got problems like water. We've got problems like refuse collection and roads. We've got problems of local clinics. We've got local service delivery. It's a major, major issue. When people are dying of cholera, when there's dirty water coming out the taps and all the issues, those are issues that are dealt with at council level. The parliament, of course, deals with very important matters, and I think it's important to have independent voices in parliament and at local level. And we're saying, for now, where we are as a bunch of competent, capable, reliable young people, is we want to start at council level.
Another contribution that did also come in was the selection criteria that was used in the independent candidates coming together, and also some criticism, which hopefully you can clarify us today, was that it seems as though that there are specific areas or specific wards where these candidates have been selected, and also leaving out those within the high density. Let's have some clarity on that particular criticism that has come up, but also, more importantly, what criteria was used to bring all these independent candidates together, and others who are independent candidates. Are they open to joining? Are they going to be called? And if so, how?
Absolutely. This was a coalescing of like minds. It's a bunch of people that got together. They were all running for council and said, right, let's come together and let's push the same agenda so that we can have the same approach to tackling matters.
Did the organization look for other individuals who are running as independents too?
I mean, people have come together. We don't actively look for people. We haven't got a recruitment drive to say, hey, look, we're...
So it's a collective of people who knew of each other.
Who knew of each other, were involved in the political space, who are passionate about Harare and service delivery. And I would also like to say, no, definitely, I mean, there was no choosing of saying we actually want, under people's own voice, under POVO, to have 46 council candidates in each and every ward by the time we get to election.
So can people come and join today?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got Facebook page, we've got Twitter handle. People can send messages if they're interested. And we'll be very visible in the communities.
I pose the question because the criticism that has come is that it seems to be an elitist approach towards political canvassing. That the manner, because already by virtue of association of individuals in a setting, and they have collectively come together to say, let's all work together and bring about a cohesive change in the political landscape. By doing so, there seems to be an exclusion of the greater majority of other Hararians, who also have got ideas that they too would like to complement in the status quo. Yet, a small group have decided, we will do that for you on your behalf, and we will make this happen. This is the criticism that is coming forward. And how do you look at dealing with that critique from the electorate?
Well, I don't think it's entirely correct. I think what has happened is that if you look at our candidates, we've got candidates from all parts of Harare. Koadzana, Glenview, Highfields, everywhere, represented. This is a starting point. There are going to be 46, and in those 46, every single person in Harare will be represented, every single community. So I think people have got to look at that. We're not saying that, no, the 11 that launched yesterday are the only 11 that will represent POVO. No, we're saying that today we want people to come on board. We want other councillors to come on board.
All right. Here's a contribution that comes from AC Lumumba on our Facebook timeline. It says, Henry is the smartest in the gang. He is a good mind. POVO is this flag-turned political party. Nothing more, nothing less. What are your sentiments on that?
Well, look, I think AC is entitled to his own opinion as every other Zimbabwean. Everybody in our team is extremely exceptional. I don't take credit for anything that AC is saying. I'm simply a member of the team.
Right.
And I think, it's statements like that that create, them versus us. We are just a bunch of like-minded people who are passionate about the issues that we all face.
Well, look, AC is slightly correct. I mean,
Right.
put it this way.
Put.
Full disclosure, obviously, we know that Henry and Pastor E and people like Marshall are alumni from this flag, graduates from this flag. And I think the social movements were the breeding ground for some of these passions. Now, I think this flag still exists. It's no longer being manned by Henry and the team. I know that it's now obviously still being manned by citizens. It's still the platform that will hold people now like Henry, people like Fadzaima Here accountable, even though they graduated from the social movements. The social movements remain intact. They shouldn't still be managed by politicians.
Sure.
These guys have now chosen to step out of the social movements, which we call the sideline, the observers, the people who hold the government to account. Huh?
Right.
And then now what you've done is you've put forward and said my name forward and say I want to represent my community.
Right.
Now, when Henry says he's running for Ward 8, he's not lying that he lives there. He actually lives there.
Right.
When Yasha says she's running for my brain, when my parents are, she actually lives amongst us.
Right.
He went to the Baptist church,
Right.
So what I'm happy to see with POVO is that even Pastor E lives in the Mount Pleasant constituency.
Right.
So I'm happy that he's going to be representing a place where him and his wife and children used to live, where his children were born. So we are, as a person who went to the launch yesterday and is not hands-on involved with POVO, I can say I love what POVO is trying to do for the community, is encourage young people. Now, if you are in Kwazana, Kanauru Kufio, Kanauru anywhere within Harare constituency, and without manya for council, pane vehicle manje yafana route ayo, kana makaisa ma CV enyuku alliance mukarambizwa not mams nama 1000 acho count mams nama 5 years ma structures. Maybe you're 15 years. Mfana ngari 18, now you're 21 and you didn't have 5 years to be in the structures. Now you want to run for council. Pane vehicle which you can go and talk to them, see if you have the right ideas and if you can match together and then run under one banner, because it shares resources. You share a Facebook page, you share a live, you share a brand. On the road. So that's why I'm supporting the idea of independent candidates coming together and coalescing.
Right. Here's a contribution that comes in on the WhatsApp platform, and a very interesting one that says that what makes this organization think that they would not go through the same problems that political parties have had in terms of ideas, worse when they are independent people coming together to try and make one idea happen. For example, the split within MDC and the split that you previously saw within ZANU-PF. That's an interesting point that he makes. What makes POVO less susceptible to what already established political parties have gone through, where splitting of the minds happens, where people don't agree with each other, and as a result, you have splintering taking place?
Well, I think the first thing is, if you look at POVO, it's nobody owns it. It doesn't have anybody's last name at the end. There are no titles. There's no hierarchy.
Someone could argue the same for a political party too.
Well, they are. I mean, look. I mean, a political party. You know who the boss is.
But it doesn't belong to an individual.
Oh, it does. In Zimbabwe, it does. If we're going to be very honest, it does. I mean, you look at
Lacoste, either your.
I mean, all those movements are centered around one personality.
100%. Those are factions within a political party. I agree. Right. I agree with those are the differing in ideologies, which I totally do agree with. That you're going to have different ideologies within a political party, and I think the parallel that is being drawn here is what would make POVO less susceptible to the fracturing of a collective.
I think that's a great question. But I think what POVO is trying to also do is open up the political space.
Okay.
And to say, look, we're not here to try and dominate people forever.
Okay.
We are just saying, in 2018, Harare City Council has got problems, and we want to come up to solve those problems in Harare City Council. I think sometimes there's a mentality where people want to think, these guys, we must be in power for 37 years. I mean, if we are still involved in politics after 37 years, we're complete failures.
We failed.
We have failed. This is not what we want.
Here's a contribution that comes in from Gift Chininga and Harare. Gift says the so-called independent candidates really don't understand the Zimbabwean politics. They will get 3 votes each. Only their friends will vote for them. Another contribution that also comes in on the WhatsApp platform is I'm an independent MP hold on a second. Says, I'm an independent MP candidate. Is POVO also going to embrace those who, like me, want to contest for a parliamentary seat? Now, I think let's start off with that last contribution there. This is, you also clearly have noticed that there are many individuals who are standing on their own, but would have a stronger footing if all those individuals are on their own come together. Now, here's an example of someone who's saying, I am standing as an independent member of parliament. Yes, there's a flyer. There's a name in the flyer there. Now, she's saying that Agatha Chisea, independent candidate for Mfakosi constituency. All right. Now, Agatha, thank you so much for sending in that contribution. And
can I answer?
Yes,
because
sure,
obviously,
please,
being a part of a current independent MP candidate, we are standing 100% by ourselves.
Right.
We've had our own volunteer structure. We have our own cell structure. We have our own area structures within the Mount Pleasant constituency. Sure. We are happy now that we have other people who are going to be working, and we may all have similar goals and visions. I mean, there are going to be councillors that may be coming even from the alliance that join the race in democracy to try and contribute to the conversation. Sure. What we are trying to offer the people of Mount Pleasant, at least in our area, which now has 2 councillors, which is Dudu in Ward 7, Pastor E in Ward 17. There will be alliance candidates coming up. We don't know who they are by name yet. There will be other parties joining that situation. Then you've got people like Fadzaima here standing by herself. There will be the ZANU candidate. There might be an alliance candidate. We don't know what the structures will look like, but we are hoping that people will be able to look at people with their competencies and say, you know what, in my ward I really like this candidate here, Duduchu, to be my councillor because she's passionate and I've seen her on the ground. I really like Fadzaima here because wow, she's really worked within the Mount Pleasant constituency and I want to be my MP. And I really like Nelson Chamisa because he's a young, vibrant president and I want to make him my president. We're giving people a rainbow choices of good, competent people so that our politics can change. This idea of always talking about the Zimbabwean politics in this grand combined words, right, makes that we can't change. We need to change. These big parties are killing our country. We're in a situation now where even the alliance is now made up of a lot of small parties joining the big guys, because even Morgan Tsvangirai himself said you cannot go at it alone. You need a lot more minds to run a good country.
And I think if I can add, I think firstly to Agatha, well done for taking the step to run as an independent candidate. This is what we need, more voices in our country joining the race to try and influence how decisions are made and to bring change to our country. I think POVO, like, again, our goal is city councils. Right now, Harare City Council, to be very specific, that is what we are focusing on. That is what we know. This is where we live. This is our reality and what we want to change. So I think that's our immediate focus. In terms of MPs, I think what Zimbabwe must have is a situation where we now promote people. This is the strength of our democracy, for people to be able to say, right, I live in this area, I know the problems better than anybody else, I don't need to be told or to give them a mandate by a political party. The mandate comes from the citizens, not a political party, to represent my people.
Duly noted. I'd like to also acknowledge that I am joined in studio by Henry Munangatire, who is an independent candidate and a member of our POVO, and also social commentator and activist, Kuda Musasiwa. Please feel free to also contact us on 0717777777. You can send us your WhatsApps on that number, and you can also send in more of your contributions on our social media platform. We are currently streaming live on Facebook, so you can also go there and throw in your contributions. Here's a contribution that comes in from Koms Mapranga. Koms says, Anzi POVO is a political party, accepted or not, the man in studio, and in Narone Hasha, Kudeva Nuvanopa Fungwadzavo, Tukatugamirwa naye, tunopeleta zadzotese mjeri. Vamliso hapana anoshika paushingi wake. Don't compare yourselves with them. That contribution coming in from Koms. Now, one aspect that I do want to bring up in light of a few contributions which have a similar vein is expectation. Now, earlier on today when Ivan Mawarire spoke to Tele Chedemana, firstly, the title of pastor or Ivan Mawarire, in this particular context I refer to him as Ivan Mawarire, right? The notion, the issue of the cloth, all right, is one that has semblance with the electorate in Zimbabwe. Faith is a galvanizing force for Zimbabweans, and it is one way in which people have managed to come together. Also bringing in once again Ivan Mawarire's epic presence that was felt after he was released from trial. Now, the expectation that was there on Zimbabweans, some argue, was over-impressed at the wrong time on the individual, and he needed to experience more
to understand how he could apply himself to the Zimbabwean political landscape. Questions of coming in at councillor level, right, have been taken as, well, what effective change are you actually going to see happen? So what I pose to you as a POVO, as an organization, and also yourselves as social activists, is the grassroots approach of coming in at a civic level. What then becomes the end game from there? Service delivery are basic issues that need to be dealt with. But as a result thereof, current structures are also trying to do the same thing. Yes, they may have failed before. Yes, it may have been 38 years of them not delivering things to the standard that you desire. But we did go through a period where certain service delivery levels were being met. And now they've decided to fix things. What then allows the electorate to consider that let's hand it over to new people and let them pick up where they fail to move forward from?
Do you know what I think is perhaps something that I'm struggling with, is that here we are as a country, and we often complain that young people don't get involved enough.
Sure.
Young people are finally stepping up. We've just heard the contribution of Agatha and Mfakos stepping up. There's Fadzai in Mount Pleasant stepping up. There's POVO, you know, who have now risen up to say, right, we want to work on the city councils. This is all young people stepping up. In a youthful country like Zimbabwe, where 65% are youth, what we're doing is to encourage other young people to also step up. You know, every single election we should have an influx of young candidates going to serve where they can. We can't all be in parliament.
Right.
But there's a lot of work to be done at local level. And Pastor Ivan, as a citizen, is entitled to fully serve at any level that he wants, as am I, as is Fadzai.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. A contribution that comes on the WhatsApp platform says, no problem, you're too much youthful zest. Young people want to quickly do things without thinking about it and figuring out how it's actually going to work. As noble as the cause may be, right, as valiant as the drive may also be, considering the current status quo that Zimbabwe is in right now, yet is the capacity of each and every single individual who has come together efficient to ensure that that the city of Harare can hand over responsibility to them to ensure that they would enter into 2025 as a world-class city?
I've spoken to the current mayor and had at least understood his sort of job in the council and his experience, which he has spoken about in public. And you have a situation where city council has councillors that have failed to do the basics.
It's an MDC council.
It doesn't matter if it was MDC or
let's take a call on the line. Hello, you're live on the Capitol Drive. Please give us your name, where you're calling from.
Yes, let's come Gove. Kuda chirongwa chacho vari kuti vafunga chatingi vaite noble idea. Political parties mazhinji ari kungotaura zvavangaite tikungoona sitovhara racho inarwe ndakambotaura ndakamboshanda sitovhara ri for quite some time. Nditomboproposa nyaya yekuti I think izvo zvokuisa zvemakansela zvizhinji hazvishandi. But pavaisa makomishins airana city council aya.
Right.
City council yairana zvakanaka zviri professional vandimuona. Kuti inenge ine vanhu vakaenda kuchikora kuda kuziva zvinhu vari kuita. Vanhu vari mucity council right now havasi vanoziva charo kuita vanotama politics state.
Yes.
Saka I believe kuti vakomana ava ngavatsvayo zvavari kuita zvaitike zvinoshanda vakapinda zviri independent ka.
Right.
Vane vision, vane mafundiro ari professional avana kuti city council ite sei.
Thank you so
kuda kuita kuti mvura 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 but I don't think kuti mati chavo chachavapinda basa ndekuita sei vanogona kutengerana mazimota anochamisa pana masasa anopenga pairi vanhu vasikaite roma ndokopi zvinhu zvakapinda basa vachiroro ita chitema anongo yaivana but service delivery hapana. Saka we are tired of my excuses.
That's it. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
All right then. Now, feel free to also keep interacting with us on our social media platform. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for @CapitOkFM. You can also call us in studio on 495-112 or 0717-777-777. I'm joined in studio by Henry Munangatire, who is an independent candidate within POVO, and also social commentator and activist Kuda Musasiwa. We do have another caller on the line. Hello, you are live on the Capitol Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare.
My name is Lumumba.
Oh, God.
Hello, Mr. Lumumba. Thank you so much for joining us here in Capitol. What's your contribution?
I just want to say I want to agree with some of what everybody in the studio has said. I think the idea that young people are coming out is the single most important part of what's happening politically in this country.
Sure.
I think the vehicle, we should be careful from obsessing ourselves with the names of vehicles, what is their code, what it shall stand for, and we should stay focused on what the actual task at hand is. So Henry can be called Henry from MDC or from ZANU-PF or from POVO. Doesn't matter. What matters is Henry has focused his mind and attention on a job. The job is to fix roads in Harare. Henry needs to get on with it.
Sure.
So Harare needs to choose a new CEO. He needs to choose a new board of directors. Henry and his friends have put themselves up to the task. What we ought to be doing, all of us as Hararians, is kind of saying, hey, listen, POVO, what can we do to help? I don't like POVO personally myself. I like the individuals. I don't like the vehicle. But I completely support what they're doing. I think they should give it a run for their money.
Mr. Lumumba, thank you so much for your contribution. Always appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Yes, some endorsement there from AC Lumumba.
Well, I think what really concerns me at this point is not one person's asked me what I'm going to do in my ward. Everybody's obsessing about the fact that we've actually decided to run. And that's strange. Can people ask us exactly what we want to do and assess us?
Okay, we've got a
on our
call on the
merits?
line. Maybe they're going to ask those exact questions. Yes, hello, you're live on the Capit Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare. Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare.
It's Capit.
Yes, it's Capit. You are live on air.
Okay. I just want to bring in my contribution in there.
Yes, please.
Which is being debated on this generation generational leadership.
New generational leadership.
Yes. What I want to put across here is it's good to have young people in the leadership, but we also have to not to forget that we also need these old people to give us advice, because they've gone through the experience. And I want to specifically to touch on the pastor, Ivan Mawarire. At first, he was doing a good job from my own look of things. He was doing a good job by airing out what is not supposed to be done as Zimbabweans in our country.
Sure.
But the issue now is, yes, we have won the whole system, but he also he is coming in to come as a leader as well.
Sure.
Right? It's not bad to become a leader, but as to a person like a pastor's job is supposed to give wisdom to those in authority, because already he has got a higher position as a pastor.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't want to take up, we are fast running out of time, but if I would ask you, would you vote for an independent candidate?
Voting for what?
Would you vote for an independent candidate?
Not really.
Okay.
Not.
All right then. Thank you so much for your contribution, and I think we did pick up some of your points there. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay, thank you.
All right then. Now, also in the absence of time, now Henry, you did highlight earlier on that what am I being asked as an individual, and I think it's also because we're going to have plenty of time to speak to individual candidates and to hear from them as individuals what their manifestos are and what they're looking to achieve. And as I highlighted, the discussions that took place today were on this organization of POVO, and a lot of talk happened around the fact that you have individuals who are independents who have come together. So the clarification of, is it a political party, or are these individuals who have called themselves POVO but they're standing on their own? And I think this is where the clarity needs to come from. Firstly, before we start unpacking and making sense of each particular individual. For example, can you campaign as an as an individual who's part of POVO without having to associate your actions with POVO? Do you have to notify POVO that I'm doing this today and I'm going there today?
I think one of the things that is good about our city is that we've got diverse areas with diverse issues. My issues in Ward 8 are not the issues in Ward 25.
Do you have...
Therefore, when somebody is campaigning in Ward 25 and Ward 8, they can never campaign the same way.
Do you have to notify POVO of your actions?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Why would I have to talk to anybody about about the issues?
Okay.
That the residents are the ones that I notify.
So if
I get my mandate from the residents,
exactly.
not from POVO.
Right. So you don't have
POVO is representing the people's issues.
This is the clarity that we want to know.
The
so
people's
POVO
issues, the residents' issues.
So POVO as an organization
yes.
does not have liability over you as an individual?
No, why would they?
This is the clarity that we want to understand. We want to know because the organization POVO is what's being put forward here.
It's a coalition of independent candidates.
Right.
Yes. And that means it's independent candidates coming together to say we are coming together to help each other.
Right.
To help each other, you know, with setting up a launch like we did yesterday.
So why call yourselves a name and have a brand?
It's for us to be able to be identified,
to be recognized as an individual or part of a collective.
Anybody can be an independent, and somebody can be an independent and do whatever they want. But just like, you know, if you look at Fadzai's campaign, she's got very nice branding.
So it's a gang.
That's yellow.
So it's a gang of independents. Others can be independent on their own. But we are a little clique of independents.
No, those are the wrong words. I would say coalition. It's just that people coming together. If people,
I would love to expand and also hear a bit more from Mr. Musasiwa shortly after the break. If you will indulge me, gentlemen, I know that I did say that we'd speak up until 5 o'clock. I will quickly get into the news at 5 o'clock with Owen Card. And soon after that, I'll also take a few more calls as we wrap up our discussions here on this Good Friday here on Capit Talk 100.4 FM, Zimbabwe's first and only commercial talk radio station, leading the conversation.
Farai Gwaze, The Voice on Capital 100.4 FM. Leading the conversation.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to the Capital Drive here on Capit Talk 100.4 FM, leading the conversation. And our hot topic on Good Friday, we're looking at a new generational leadership, picking up on a discussion with Talent Chedemane on our Startup Capital Breakfast show earlier on today. We do have a caller on the line. Hello, you're live on the Capital Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare.
Good morning, Farai. Reed.
Hey, Reed. Yes, give us your contribution.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following the conversation, these guys, and now they are beginning to conflict themselves. If they are saying that they are a collective or a group of independent candidates coming together that are not then accountable to one another or who cannot answer to each other, then it conflicts the whole purpose. Because if they say they will be answering to the people, I mean, it's confusing me. I mean, I tend to be corrected, but I'm confused right now because if they can't hold each other to accountability, then what's the purpose?
Then what's the point of coming together? Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
that's exactly it.
Candidates. So I think I was beginning to believe them, but the moment they just said that they cannot be held accountable by each other amongst themselves in that collective group, then it just puts off the whole purpose for me.
All right, then. Thank you so much for that call. And I think reiterating a point from the discussion later on, thank you so much for your call. All right, then. Now, we may as well pick up. Yes, I'll definitely allow you to respond to that. However, I will also like to reiterate that I'm joined in studio by Henry Munangatire, who is an independent candidate for POVO, and also joined by social commentator and political activist Kuda Musasiwa. Yes, you wanted to respond to that?
Yes, I think, what we're trying to say is, as an organization, POVO has no political structures, and each individual has autonomy over the campaign. You know, they plan their own campaign, they know the issues. We work directly with the residents. So if, for example, there's an issue in my ward, I am meeting with my residents regularly, getting updates on that issue, and they're telling me what the problem is. I go to City Council, I represent them directly. There's no intermediary there.
The challenge, Mr. Munangatire, that comes up is it seems as though that the collective within POVO understands that. But when it's articulated now to the public, which is asking the question that because they now want to know. They now want to know, how then do I make sense of this organization that I'm considering being a part of, that I would also like to know more information about. When that is then now being conveyed, they seem to not appreciate or understand exactly where it's coming from. We do have another call on the line. This will be the last call and we wrap up our discussions. Hello, you're live on the Capital Drive. Please give us your name and where you're calling from in Harare.
Yes, I'm calling from Bare. This is Raymond Manu.
Raymond Manu.
Those guys are correct because they are men of action. Unlike those guys who just have realizing meeting at Parliament of Zimbabwe. Those guys are good.
Right.
Yes. So these guys are correct. It's only that people are fearing.
Right. Okay.
That's why they are saying those guys are not.
Thank
you so much for that contribution. Now, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have today, and this was, of course, a special Friday discussion that we're having here. We don't normally have a hot topic of discussion today, but it was a good Friday, and it was good to pick up from the discussion that took place earlier on this morning. So, in conclusion, I think I'd like to start off with Kuda Musasiwa, as brief as you can, from a social movement point of view. What is new generational leadership in Zimbabwe?
Well, we have a unique situation this year when a lot of young people have stood up and said that they want to represent their communities as independent candidates. Some of them have clustered together like POVO. Some are going at it alone like Linda Masarira with the Purple Campaign. Fadzaima Here, you got a lot of different people. Wananoshin in Chipinge East. A lot of people going at it alone trying to be independent candidates. But what's going to happen after this election, when we go through the fire and people have now tested themselves against the electorate, is I'm hoping that this generation of new minds and new ideas find each other eventually. Now, I know that there's right now questions of POVO. I know that POVO is clustered together. They have probably got a common set of values that they come together with, probably a common set of ideas, and using pooling resources together. Now, that's not really confusing. When Henry now goes into his ward by himself, he's going to have to build a team around himself and work for that ward. Fadzai has done the same thing for Mount Pleasant. We've got people like Josephat in Bulawayo South who have also built good structures and are working for that by themselves. But at the end of this election, win or learn, this generation is going to find each other. There's a lot of young independents, and when the electorate gives them the mandate, and if they're sent to parliament or sent to council, this I think is the great opportunity now for them to say, right, Isusutane at least a mandate from the ward level, from parliamentary level. We can now come together and say, are we now going to be the new Democratic Alliance of Zimbabwe? Or are we now going to be part of Chimilosun Chamisa's party? There's a lot of work that needs to be done, even with the current alliance, even with the current people in ZANU-PF, believe it or not, where we must renew the rotten system that has now taken us for 38 years for a ride and robbed our futures. The only reason why you see people like me involved, guys, is because things had got really bad. I hope that the country gets good enough, at least, for people like me to say, hey, Tabo, and I can sit back.
That's it. Thank you so much for that contribution. And my producer's going to kill me. Yeah, I've been meaning to say we do not take any calls via WhatsApp. She's trying to go through the WhatsApp contributions, but people keep calling. Please, we do not take any calls via WhatsApp. If you want to call us, please call us on 495-112. Very briefly, Henry, here's what I'm not going to see. A lot of questions have been coming in about asking what is POVO saying in terms of their manifesto. We are going to open up our programming to be able to interrogate all candidates from all political parties in all wards, in all constituencies, and all provinces. The platform has been opened up here at Capitol, and we will be speaking to them. So we will be inviting you in to come and join us here in studio. I will at least read Marcy Wilkes' contribution on Facebook. Marcy says, what are the Ward 8 issues that are different from other wards? Just to see what you know about your ward.
Well, I think all the issues are pretty much the same. But for us in Ward 8, the roads are a big issue. We've got issues of... I
think what Marcy is referring to is what is unique to Ward 8 in terms of an issue.
I mean, there's no NRI where there's a specific issue that's unique. It's all the same issues. I think what we're trying to say really is, look, it's not identical. Like, you can't say Ward 25 and Ward 8 are identical. And the approach can never be the same because it's just that's just the way it is.
Language is different. Exactly. Approach is different.
Well, I mean, it's just, you know, at the end of the day, people look at things from a different perspective, but which is why we're independent, because we want to represent the authenticity and the values of a particular neighborhood and have people that understand what people want in that neighborhood. We can't have a one-size-fits-all approach to our politics, and which is where it's gone wrong, because a political party just says, right, this is the issue. It may be different in Ward 25 and Ward 30, even in places. We're sitting in Ward 8. In Ward 18 next door, the issues can't be the same.
Right, 100%. Definitely do look forward to having you join us, especially on our Council Thursday discussions, which are brought to you by the Harare City Council, and it is between 3 to 4 on Thursday. What we will be doing is we'll be giving the final 30 minutes of that show to council representatives throughout Harare who are running for that space, ensuring that the debate is opened up and the discussions are free and fair as we look forward to the elections. I'd like to thank my guests in the studio, independent candidate through POVO, Henry Munangatire, and a social commentator and a political activist, Kuda.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.